Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something truly delicious today. You asked for it, Armenian cuisine. We'll be exploring its incredible variety and rich history based on the article 22 Armenian Dishes You'll Love.
Buckle up, you're in for a real treat. It's more than just delicious, It's a whole tapestry. Ancient traditions, different influences, and a deep connection to the land, all woven together.
The article throws 22 dishes at us, each with its own story. Where do we even start?
Let's start with the king. Khorovats. You could call it barbecue, but not what you're probably picturing. This is about marinated meats, perfectly grilled over an open fire.
Sounds amazing already. What makes it so special?
First, the marinade. Simple blend. Salt, pepper, paprika, and onions. But the magic is how it tenderizes the meat. The flavor just gets right in there.
I bet the grilling method matters too.
Absolutely. It's traditionally cooked on a mangal, a special metal grill, or in a tonnier, that's a cylindrical clay oven often used for bread. Both ways give it this unique, smoky flavor, irresistible.
It sounds like a whole experience. Is this a casual backyard thing or what?
It's more than that, deeply ingrained in Armenian culture. Centerpiece of big gatherings, celebrations, families and friends, everyone coming together, enjoying the ritual of grilling, sharing the meal. There's even a whole festival for khorovats.
Wow, a whole festival. That's serious dedication. Now I'm curious about Dolma. The article mentions it has its own festival too.
Dolma. Little parcels of flavor, traditionally seasoned meat and rice, wrapped in grape leaves. But the beauty is the versatility.
There's a ton of variety. The article says over 50 variations. What are some of the more interesting ones?
Well, you have tolma in cabbage leaves, eggplant, tomatoes, peppers, even quince. Each region has its own spin, its own filling, its own wrapping technique. It shows you just how diverse Armenian cuisine is.
That's amazing. It definitely deserves its own festival. Speaking of history, let's talk about harissa. What's the story behind this one?
Harissa. This is an ancient dish, centuries old. It's a slow-cooked porridge made from wheat and meat, often served during holidays and special occasions.
What makes it a special occasion dish?
Harissa is a labor of love, truly. Takes hours, slow cooking, stirring, patience. You got to get that perfect, smooth, hearty consistency. It symbolizes warmth, nourishment, community.
I can see that. Okay, from a dish steeped in history to a wedding staple kufta. Tell us more.
Kufta. It's like a meatball, but with that Armenian flair. Usually ground lamb or beef, herbs, spices, then shaped and cooked in all sorts of ways.
I've heard of different types. What are some of those?
Well, you have ekmiadzin kufta, that's boiled, served in a rich broth. Then there's ishli kufta. For that one, the meat mixture is a big ball filled with nuts and dried fruits, then boiled or steamed.
Both sound incredible. I get why it's popular for weddings. Now this next one, chevijik, sounds adventurous. What's the deal with it?
Chevijik. This is unique. Beef or lamb liver, fried with onions and spices. Bold flavor, definitely not for everyone, but it's got a special place in Armenian cuisine.
I'm intrigued. What's so special about it?
Chevijik's got history, cultural significance. It even had a whole film dedicated to it back in the 1960s. Shows you how deeply it's woven into Armenian society.
A film about liver.
Hmm.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
All right. From adventurous to familiar, orishta. What is that?
Uishta. Homemade noodle. Thicker and chewier than your average pasta. Simple ingredients. Flour, water, sometimes eggs. But it's the handmade process that gives it that special texture and flavor.
I bet it's perfect for soaking up sauces.
Absolutely. It's incredibly versatile. Simple butter and cheese, rich meat sauces, hearty stews, anything goes.
Speaking of hearty, let's talk about spas. Yogurt-based soup, right?
That's right. Also known as tanavapur. Yogurt, wheat berries, and herbs. Comforting, nourishing, perfect any time of year.
I read it can be served hot or cold. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. It's adaptable. Cold months, it's hot, warming, satisfying meal. Summertime, chilled, refreshing, light.
You ready for this next one, Kosh? This sounds like an experience.
Oh, kosh is definitely an experience. Traditional Armenian soup, boiled beef parts, hooves, tripe, the works, slow cooked, hours. Until the meat's super tender, the broth is rich and flavorful.
Sounds intense. Any specific way to eat it?
Kosh is all about tradition. There's a ritual to it, usually served with lavash, that's that thin Armenian flatbread, and lots of garlic, salt, vinegar for seasoning.
Wow, truly immersive. Okay, from ritualistic soup to a holiday dish, kashlama. What's that one about?
Kashlama is a hearty lamb and vegetable stew, traditionally eaten during Vardavar, that's a summer festival in Armenia, brings people together, symbolizes abundance, shared joy.
Perfect for a festive occasion. What makes kashlama special?
Simple, fresh ingredients cooked perfectly, Tender lamb, slow-cooked with vegetables, potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, onions, creates a rich, flavorful stew. Different regions have their own variations, but the core elements are the same. Tender lamb, flavorful vegetables, hearty broth, perfect for soaking up with lavash.
And then there's gapama. That name just screams celebration.
Gapama is stunning, visually and taste-wise. It's a pumpkin, hollowed out, filled with rice, dried fruits, nuts, honey, baked until tender and fragrant.
So festive. What does the pumpkin symbolize?
It's often served during special occasions and holidays, represents abundance, unity, family and friends coming together. Filling it with different ingredients represents the richness and diversity of life.
Beautiful how food can mean so much. Now let's talk about pasakolma, a vegan twist on traditional tolma.
Pathik tolma, a special Lenten dish. Instead of meat, it's filled with 7 different grains, representing a spiritual connection and abundance from nature.
7 grains, huh? Why 7?
7's a special number in many cultures and religions. Completeness, perfection, spiritual understanding. In Pasuk Tolma, it represents the diverse gifts of the earth, even during fasting.
From Lenten dish to one celebrating spring, Jingelov hats. What can you tell us?
This is the taste of Artsakh, region in Armenia. Beautiful nature, rich culinary traditions. It's a flatbread filled with fresh herbs, often over 40 different kinds, gathered from the mountains and fields.
Over 40 different herbs. That's amazing.
It's spring's bounty on a plate. Every bite you get the flavors and aromas of wild herbs. A truly unique experience.
And speaking of vibrant flavors, what about avaluk salad?
Avaluk salad is refreshing and flavorful. Made with mountain sorrel, a tangy, leafy green. Grows in Armenia.
What else is in it?
Usually pomegranate seeds, walnuts, simple dressing of olive oil and lemon juice. Tangy sorrel, sweet pomegranate, nutty walnuts. Perfect balance.
Now for something different, tatar baraki. It sounds interesting.
It's a traditional Armenian pasta dish. Pretty unique. Little hand-rolled pieces of dough, boiled then layered with melted butter and a tangy yogurt sauce.
Sounds delicious. Textures and flavors. Is this everyday food or more special?
It's more for family gatherings and celebrations. It takes love to make. Each piece of dough is rolled by hand.
Onwards to basturma. That's a cured meat I've heard good things about. What's special about it?
Basturma is a delicacy. It's ancient meat preservation at its finest. Air-dried beef, cured with spices, fenugreek, paprika, garlic. You end up with this flavorful, aromatic meat, sliced thinly, enjoyed as an appetizer, or part of a meze platter.
From cured meat to something more substantial, sujuk.
Sujuk. It's a spicy, dried sausage, similar to basturma, but ground meat instead of whole cuts. Flavorful, satisfying, good for festive meals or a snack.
I bet it goes well with cheese and bread.
Oh yeah. Sujuk is a staple on New Year's tables in Armenia. Good luck and prosperity for the year ahead.
Now for something comforting, especially for colder weather. Parnkash. What is it?
It's simple but satisfying. People compare it to mac and cheese because it's so creamy and cheesy. It's made with chechel cheese. That's a stringy, salty cheese, very popular in Armenia.
How's it made?
The chechel cheese is crumbled or shredded, layered with lavash.
A soup with an interesting name, pachapur.
Pachapur, or tail soup. Hearty, flavorful red bean soup from Gyumri, Armenia's second largest city.
Tail soup. That's a name. Why is it called that?
Because of the dough. Diamond-shaped pieces added to the soup. They look like bean tails, so pachapur or tail soup.
Fascinating. From bean soup to something sweet, anali. What is this dried peach delicacy?
Anali is tradition and resourcefulness, all in one. It's dried peaches filled with a sweet, nutty mixture, usually ground walnuts, sugar, spices like cinnamon, cardamom.
Sounds like a way to keep summer going during winter.
Exactly. Anali is a winter treat, sunshine and warmth when it's cold outside.
All right, on to gata, the Armenian sweetbread.
Gata is a classic, holds a special place in many hearts. Soft, buttery bread, often filled with khorovats. That's a sweet mix of butter, sugar, and flour.
What's chorus like?
Imagine a crumbly filling, melt in your mouth, delicate sweetness, a hint of vanilla, the perfect partner for that soft gata bread.
Sounds divine.
And during Christmas, they bake a coin into it. Whoever finds it gets good luck for the year.
Love that. And of course, we have to talk about baklava, a classic in the region.
Baklava, layered pastry, thin sheets of dough filled with chopped nuts, usually walnuts, sweetened with honey or syrup.
A classic for a reason. That flaky texture, the nutty filling, delicious. And finally, sujuk, the sweet version this time.
Sujuk shirts, that's what it's called. Sweet sausage-shaped treat, made with walnuts and fruit juice, grape or pomegranate usually, Thickened with cornstarch makes it chewy, like candy.
A unique confection for sure.
It shows you how versatile Armenian traditions are. Simple ingredients turned into delightful treats.
Wow, that was a lot. Savory meats, delicate pastries, chewy candies. Armenian cuisine has it all. And each dish has its own story, its own tradition.
Absolutely. It's more than just recipes. It's a reflection of history, culture, values. A culinary journey that's delicious and meaningful.
Before we go on, what are some of your favorite Armenian dishes?
That's tough. So many to choose from. But gapama, it's special. Brings back warm memories of family and celebrations.
That's great. And what about you, listener? Which dish has piqued your interest so far? Keep that in mind as we keep exploring Armenian cuisine.
What's really cool is how Armenian cuisine bridges that gap, tradition and modernity. You have ancient dishes like harissa still enjoyed today, but then there are these modern takes on classics.
Yeah, that blend of old and new is fascinating. It shows how resilient and adaptable Armenian culture is. But what gets me is the range of flavors. Bold spices of khorovats to the delicate sweetness of anali. Something for everyone.
Totally. And you can't forget the fresh local ingredients. Dishes like jingyalov hats with over 40 different herbs, that's Armenia's natural bounty right there. That connection to the land, to the seasons, it's deeply rooted in their culinary traditions.
Speaking of connections, so many of these dishes are tied to occasions, traditions. Kash, for example, with its whole ritual, it's more than a meal, right?
Exactly. It's rooted in Armenian culture, in their hospitality. Eaten during the colder months, often served to guests. It's a symbol. Warmth, generosity, a shared experience. That ritual, the preparation, the eating, it reinforces those values. Community, togetherness.
Food can be such a powerful symbol. Cultural identity,
Mm.
shared values. What other dishes stand out in terms of cultural significance?
Gapama, the pumpkin dish. Definitely. It's a masterpiece. Visually, too. Served during holidays, special occasions. Filling the pumpkin, all those different ingredients, it represents the abundance of life, And sharing the dish, that's unity, togetherness.
It's amazing how food tells a story. A culture's history, values, traditions. What stands out to you, listener, about all this? What resonates with you?
I think what's appealing is the accessibility. Some dishes take effort, patience, sure, but the ingredients are simple. You can find them pretty easily. It's a cuisine that welcomes home cooks. Experiment, create, adapt recipes, make it your own.
I think that's what draws people to explore different cuisines. That connection you can make, even if it's just recreating a dish in your own kitchen. It's enriching. And speaking of connection, I'm curious about bread in Armenian cuisine. We've mentioned lavash, but I feel like there's more to it.
Oh, you're right. Bread is central to Armenian culture. And their food, lavash, that thin flatbread, it's iconic. You scoop dips with it, wrap it around meats, or just eat it as is. But there are so many other breads, too, each one unique.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Matnakash, for example. It's soft, leavened, distinctive patterned top. Goes great with cheese or dips. Then you have koreg, braided bread, served during special occasions. The design symbolizes prosperity, good fortune.
Wow, even the bread has symbolic meaning. Food and culture are really intertwined in Armenia.
It shows you how rich their traditions are. Food isn't just fuel, it's a way of life, expressing identity, sharing stories, connecting with the past, the present.
So for our listener who wants to dive deeper into all this, where should they start?
Check out the full article, 22 Armenian dishes you'll love. Links in the description. It goes deeper into each dish, recipes, cultural significance. Great resource.
Perfect starting point for a culinary adventure through Armenia. But before you go, let's explore a few more highlights.
It's amazing, right? All this history, all this tradition, packed into every bite. It's like Armenian cuisine is a time capsule, preserving flavors, stories from so long ago.
You said it. Dishes like basturma and sujuk, those preservation techniques go way back, a real link to Armenia's culinary heritage. And the traditions, like that coin in the gata at Christmas, that's a touch of magic, don't you think?
Those little things make it special. And for anyone looking for plant-based options, Armenian cuisine delivers. Pasuk tolma with the 7 grains and the spiritual connection, jingyalov hats with all those fresh herbs, delicious vegetarian and vegan cook.
Oh, for sure. Something for everyone. And what's great is how these traditions keep evolving, ancient techniques, but with modern twists.
It speaks to their creativity, their resilience. And that's what's so cool about exploring different cuisines. It's more than just the food. It's the stories, the history, the values, the people behind those flavors. I couldn't agree more. Food is a way to connect with the culture. On a deeper level, get a glimpse into their heart and soul.
So for our listener who's ready to jump into this world of flavors and traditions, any final advice?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Embrace that Armenian hospitality, that generosity. Share a meal with friends and family. Try new recipes. Savor the flavors.
Great advice. And if you need a starting point, that article, 22 Armenian Dishes You'll Love, links in the description, full of information, recipes, inspiration.
And have fun. That's the most important thing.